Hey guys, this is Jon Rivera from the Solid State Gamer, host of the ROMcast as well as lead reviewer for the site. Welcome back to another edition of our Quick Look series. And we're going PlayStation this time, again. We're going to be taking another trip down memory lane with another title that was dear to my heart. Here we have the Galaga minigame loading this title. I accidentally misspoke during the last quick look on Ridge Racer, saying that the metagame was Galaga when in fact it was Galaxian. So I apologize for that mistake. It can happen. Again, semantics. Not as good as my previous records. Usually I've been able to get 33, 34 hits, but it doesn't really matter. And here we have the proud Namco logo, again showing the humble beginnings of the company and what they had become with the turn of the fifth generation of gaming, at least from a console perspective. And here we have an intro cinematic which showed Yoshimitsu right there and King right here. You know, a lot of people forget that King was a wrestler who was a human being and he wore a mask. And there's Michelle. Law right here. Martial Law looks so much different in this game than he has in any other sequel to this first title. He underwent huge changes, not just to his moveset, but to his physical appearance. Here we have Kazuya Hashima. Now, Kazuya in this game is actually a main protagonist. Oh, Tekken. And I believe right here we're going to have a little demonstration. Unless you press start during that cutscene or the intro cinematic, it'll go straight into a demo. And the load times are actually fairly quick. In load screen images, the graphics for the loading screens are kind of basic, but here we have some rankings right here. But as I was trying to say before, Kazuya in this game is actually a good guy who's fighting to beat his evil brother Heihachi. A lot of people forget that originally Heihachi was the bad guy and Kazuya was a good guy until Tekken 2, where he, I guess, gave his soul to the devil or something like that. It was a weird premise in the second game. But here we have a cinematic of him. So this is the original title screen right here. Very basic, very rudimentary, and it's very interesting to see this right here as the first Tekken. But here it is. This is the original Tekken, the original Iron Fist tournament for the PlayStation 1. And it's hard to believe that this is where it all began, but it appears to be a fact because I am in fact playing it. So let's just get into this option screen. The controls for the options are really weird. You have to activate new menus by pressing the start button, and you exit them by pressing any of the face buttons. Not very intuitive because you want to instinctively press the face buttons to access new menus, but it doesn't follow that through line of logic. So here are the menus, basically what you can expect from an aesthetic perspective. Not very appealing. It's just straight text. In fact, I'm pretty sure that this font is like the generic base level text font style for simple PlayStation games. You can tell just by the size of it and just how simple it is. The only thing that's different is the color of the text, and that's pretty much it. So I'm actually not going to change anything. I'm going to use default settings. But you can see right here, these are time records, the time taken to beat a game, how many wins that you've accrued with a certain character, and then these are the percentages of, as you can see right here, I've done a previous playthrough with Law. Actually, let's see if I can, Actually, I'm going to change this. That way, if I get a game over and have to continue, you guys can see me play as different characters. Alright, well, let's get into it. So from the outset, you can play as Yoshimitsu, Nina, Law, Kazuya, Paul, Jack, King, and Michelle. Those are the only playable characters in this title from the outset. You can unlock special characters after beating the game as a particular character. So I'm going to play as Law for my first go.
Round 1.
Again, very basic. I mean, the load screens aren't really that appealing to look at. In fact, they look laughable by today's standards. Something that was always really interesting about the series that started with this first seminal release is the control scheme. It's an interesting control scheme that is both very basic and accessible. And by that I mean it takes a different approach to controlling your character. Here, let me just show you this. I pressed select to access this new camera, and there's two problems with it that I've seen. First of all, it's just an awkward beveled angle. It's just not appealing. And you can't see the beautiful scenery. So from those two perspectives, I mean, that camera switch is not ideal. I can see why they took it out of future installments for this franchise. And I just kicked Jack's ass. I'm going to face off against Nina. That was a special throw. So, going back to the control scheme, unlike most other fighting games that have a high-low attack paradigm structure, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Killer Instinct, and even Virtua Fighter, this game takes a different approach in terms of the button layout. Instead of one button having a high punch and low punch, one face button will control one arm or one punch, and then the other button will control the other in turn. Same goes for kicks. So square controls one arm as where triangle controls another. And the same thing goes for the kick buttons, X and circle. And Nina's really giving me the business. Oh, great. I love the announcer in this game. That's like the best part, whenever you have like only a sliver of health and you get a lucky shot and your hit connects with the enemy and you just knock them out, and like the announcer, you get by the skin of your teeth, and the announcer says, "Great." So like other fighting games would have this control layout paradigm where there was a high punch, low punch, but it could be either fist. So that's kind of how it went for both kicks and punches in fighting games in the past. And also, you know, Virtua Fighter's included in this. Tekken was really the first game that changed that up. And because the buttons are mapped out and are conceived in that logical fashion, that, or at least that logical through line of thought, the grapples are easy to understand because it's a combination of a kick and a punch button. Except for special throws, which sometimes involve both kicks or both punches. It just depends on the character you're using. And that's another thing about this game. Not only is the control layout made to be as accessible as possible to new players, but... Oh, sorry, it's really hard to talk and play at the same time. But the other thing is that with the cast of characters available in this game, there's something for anybody. There's something for everyone. You know, if you're into like fluid movements inspired by Gung Fu or Kung Fu, like Law's probably going to be your best bet. If you're into like the whole strike after strike sort of method of martial arts, you're probably going to want to choose someone like Heihachi or Kazuya. I'm going to pick Yoshimitsu. This guy is also what makes Tekken unique.
Round 1.
He's just such a weird character. He can actually use his sword in combat, by the way. I just showed you that. Ooh. Destroyed me. Probably noticed that the music's kind of skipping out. I'm trying to get my 10-hit combo in there, but it's not working. Jeez. I'm out of practice with Yoshimitsu. But he's, like, this guy is actually, like, a ninja cyborg robot from, like, outer space. It's just the weirdest thing you've ever heard of. But it's interesting. It's unique. It's part of what makes this game very interesting, or at least made it very interesting to me when I was growing up. Also, this character, too. He's just got a very interesting moveset. In fact, I was a huge fan of this character because he had something that was different from all the other characters. And Kazuya is just being cheap right now. Yeah. How'd you like that?
KO. Round 2. Fight.
I love his grapple moves. It's just, he's just so different. You never really saw a character like this in a lot of fighting games. Jeez. There we go.
You win.
I always loved that. Like, the fact that he doesn't even say anything. He growls. Paul's another character that kind of has like a karate-style martial arts structure. He's got some very intense, like, attacks that deal lots of damage. But he can be slow, though. At least not right there, but some of his attacks don't really connect as quick as you might want to think. Lucky shot. I apologize if you hear the buttons being pressed in the distance. This is a very intense game to play. Alright, I'm still going with King. But again, like Ridge Racer, this was a game that kind of just made me think about like the future of gaming. I thought this game looked incredible at the time. I mean, if you put your mindset in the world of 1995, in terms of gaming, it is a beautiful game. You got some very interesting set pieces, different backgrounds and stuff. Jeez. Paul is not messing around. There you go. The music, just like Ridge Racer, is very much akin to Japanese club music, and again, in this game, somehow fits. It fits with the action. And I actually really like this soundtrack. I don't know if that has to do with the notion that I possibly have an affinity to Japanese club music. Maybe I do. But Namco's games during this era kind of had this thing about kind of capturing the thrill of whatever it was they were trying to capture, and the music and the sound design just kind of complemented that action, whatever it was. And I'm gonna go back to Law, and this game is certainly no exception. I mean, this game, along with Ridge Racer, see, he's taking advantage of the fact that I'm trying to talk right now. Jeez. Yeah. Wow, that's depressing. It's hard to talk and play at the same time, folks. There we go. I hold that. Jeez. Diablo. This game is no joke. So, like, the music, you can tell, is kind of skipping, right? You know, in spots, and it's mostly because this copy of Tekken is kind of damaged. I don't know who was responsible for it, but the disc was horribly scratched in some sort of accident. And Paul is just being super cheap right now. It's ridiculous.
KO. Round 2. Fight.
Alright, that's it. I'm not messing around. No. No, Paul. Jeez. Oh my goodness. He's giving me the business today.
Round 1.
There we go. There we go. What? Whoa. Oh, jeez. Ugh.
Round 2. Fight.
Something that this game had over Ridge Racer was that Ridge Racer was only a single-player game. You couldn't play that game multiplayer. So even though it was a technological showcase, it didn't really have the multiplayer aspect to it. But this game, if you bought a second gamepad, I mean, the experience was just magnified. There have been many an evening where my brother and I have gone head-to-head playing this game. Oftentimes I lost, just because my older brother just played the ever-loving crap out of this game back then. There we go. Nope. There we go.
Round 2. Fight.
Oh, jeez. Cheap shot. Get out of here. You're not gonna let me beat you like that, are you? There, see. I will say one unfortunate thing about this game is that some characters will force you to be a bit cheap, and it makes you feel guilty about it. But
Fight.
the AI of the characters in the Tekken series has definitely seen a lot of improvement. So I'm wondering if I could just spam the low kicks. I'm hoping that that's not the case, because it might be a problem. Yeah, see? Yeah.
Round 2.
That's unfortunate. But then again, I'm playing on easy, so maybe that's the case. But again, you know, this was the first. This is where it all started. And it definitely just, it made fighting games more accessible to everyone. With its control layout, with its button mapping, and just with its wide range of different characters that had different styles that in turn cater to different play styles. There you go. King is one of my favorite characters. He's just so different. That's always something I've loved about him. And Law's always been a safe bet. He's just got a lot of safe options. I will say that the only unfortunate thing about this game, because of the fact that it's very accessible and that the controls are conceived the way they are, it is very easy for someone to kind of button mash their way to some intermediate level of proficiency, but it's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to like control accessibility and like being able to cheap your way through a game. Not to say you can do the same thing playing against a thinking human opponent, but it definitely is kind of a problem, and it's kind of the reason why time and time again I've always try to stick to the Virtua Fighter games just because they're more tactile and they require dedication to master the move sets of each character.
Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight.
We can look at this game. I mean, the backgrounds are very interesting. I mean, they're not great by today's standards, but like Ridge Racer, if you put your mindset into the world of 1995, it actually is a pretty good-looking game. And each stage is vastly different from the next. It's just some very interesting set pieces that you wouldn't expect to see in a fighting game. And they're all kind of loosely based on real-world locations. That's something I always thought was cool.
You continue.
I don't know if I want to play as King. Nah, I'm gonna stick with Law.
Round 1. Fight.
Ooh. It's giving me the business already. Ah. Ooh.
Round 2. Fight.
I'm trying really hard not to go to the spam attacks because I'd hate to break the game like that. I owe it a little more respect than that. There we go.
Round. Fight.
There we go.
You win.
I didn't want to just spam that fight and just use like low-level attacks. That'd be really lame.
Fight.
Yoshimitsu, he's another very interesting yet goofy character.
Round 2. Fight.
And if you notice, looking in the background, you can see different things happening with the background. Like, for example, there's Michelle's main stage. When you see, like, the Grand Canyon, you see the sunset dynamically. It slowly but surely happens, and you see the skyline change slowly but surely in color as it happens, and it's just a beautiful set piece.
Round 1. Fight.
Another huge difference between this game and, say, something like Virtua Fighter is that there's no such thing as a ring out. So no matter what you do, you'll still have like an eternity of terrain to move through. You're not gonna have to worry about hitting an edge and falling off the edge of the world or something like that, or falling out of a ring. So you don't have to worry about getting cheaply taken out of the fight. So I will credit Tekken for doing that, for doing away with such a stupid, in my opinion, a very cheap way to win a fight. Now, to be fair, Namco did bring it back in Soul Blade, which is the, I guess, kind of granddaddy of the Soul Calibur series.
Round 1. Fight.
That's a very interesting stage. And I am getting my ass handed to me. Oh, goodness. Oh, jeez. He's giving me the business, alright. Not a good display.
Round 2. Fight.
Oh, jeez. His hair looks terrible in Engine. But this was the first, again.
You lose. Continue.
Alright, I'm going to pick Law again and finish this once and for all. Look at Heihachi just mean mugging me. He's like, "Arrgh." What the?
Round 1. Fight.
Like I said, this was kind of like the growing pain for this series. That's weird. He kind of just had a seizure right there. He's just not quitting.
Round 2. Fight.
Man, that's kind of weird. My throw didn't connect.
KO.
Huh.
You lose.
That's weird.
Continue.
I'm not giving up. Not gonna give up.
Round 1. Fight.
Oh, jeez. And if you guys notice, yes, his grunts and sounds are exactly the same as Jack's.
Round 2. Fight.
You just gonna keep doing that, dog? Ugh. Oh, jeez. Ugh. Oh!
You lose.
Not giving up. There we go. I was trying to go for 2 flying side kicks. I got a little, had delusions of grandeur right there. Oh, all that. He's got a abnormal reach on his grapples. Oh, I should have. There we go.
Fight.
Oh, jeez. He's giving me the business. Oh, my goodness. Oh, not cool. Not cool.
Fight.
There we go. Oh, no. Jeez. Oh! Oh no! I can't leave on this note. I've got to beat Heihachi.
Round 1. Fight.
Could have had him. Oh! There we go.
Round 2. Fight.
Oh no, he broke it. Forgive me for not speaking much, but this has been a very intense bout. Oh, I knew he was going to pull that too. There we go. There we go. Took me how many tries? I can't remember at this point. Woo! You could say that again, Law. Your ever open mouth. So here we have the ending cinematic for Law's character storyline. Wearing his famous tracksuit that's obviously inspired by Bruce Lee, which is weird. He has green eyes in that shot. He looks nothing like this in future games. This is the first and only game he has that sort of appearance. And in fact, the appearance of himself in this cutscene is not the same as his appearance in the in-game engine graphics. He's got a completely different complexion. His hair's styled differently. It's almost as if the people doing the pre-rendered CG cutscenes and the people doing the in-game visuals of the characters did not communicate as to what Law's appearance should have been. But, you know, those are the growing pains of a series, and this franchise had incredibly huge evolutionary stage changes between this first game and Tekken 2. I mean, Tekken 2 was just a huge huge leap forward for the franchise. It's unbelievable. All the changes and all the advancements and innovations and additions in terms of content that were added to the mix to make Tekken 2 what it is today. And honestly, Tekken 2 is my favorite in the series, but that's of no discredit to this first entry, because this is the game that started it all. And it's a pretty solid foundation for the most part. I mean, some of the interface graphics and menu interface visuals and aesthetics haven't aged terribly well, but again, it's no discredit to this game. It's just, from top to bottom, it's just a very solid package. And it's got unlockables in it, so it's got replayability. You can play as different characters. When you play through the game as different characters, you unlock new characters. So there's all this replayability with it, especially when you throw in the multiplayer mode. You can play head-to-head. I mean, that in itself breathes new life in the game, because it adds a new dynamic playing against a thinking human opponent. Of course, these are all features that have become commonplace. Commonplace, yes, nowadays, but you know, back in 1995, this was something incredibly special. And like Ridge Racer, Wipeout, Twisted Metal, Warhawk, Battle Arena Toshinden, this was a game that not only solidified Namco as a very strong developer that was able to change with the times and to, you know, break into the 3D era of gaming, but this was also a title that helped to give the Sony PlayStation an ever important and distinct and iconic software identity. It's something that cannot be understated, and it's definitely something that cannot be denied. Because with this foundation of games and their sequels that followed, the Sony PlayStation was just such a dominant force in the industry, especially interesting when you think about the fact that Sony was never a game company to begin with. So that's this game is kind of a testament to what happens when you foster good software development efforts with third-party developers who are, you know, experts of their craft. And you just reach out to third-party developers, and this is the result. You know, a launch lineup that is not only a display of solid gameplay, but also a technical showcase for what your console is capable of. So, but anyway, I'm rambling. That pretty much concludes this quick look into the original Tekken, the Iron Fist tournament for the Sony PlayStation. As always, I'm Jon Rivera saying thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any comments or suggestions, don't hesitate to drop a comment below this video, or you guys can go onto our main website, thesolidstategamer.wordpress.com, and drop a comment on this post when I drop this video on it. And if you guys want to get in touch with us directly, just email us, solidstateromcast@gmail.com. And hope to see you guys on the website. We have a lot of interesting stuff on there you might want to read or watch or listen to. We've got a podcast that we do every week, so be sure to check that out. But anyway, this is going to conclude this installment of the Solid State Gamer Quick Look series. Again, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time.